Today's yoga practice is all about the feet, ankles, and calves, those lower legs. So if you're someone who has a job where you stand a lot or someone who actually sits a lot, you're going to have a lot of feeling in those feet, lower legs. It's going to be kind of uncomfortable. And if you're like me, you know that if your feet hurt or your calves hurt, everything hurts. So I believe that whatever happens to your feet happens somewhere up higher. So if you have a tension headache, it might actually be your feet. So we're going to take a look at your feet and your ankles and your calves from every which direction today. What you will need for props is you will need a strap or a rope or a tie or a belt of some kind, a blanket or a beach towel, a tennis ball, or if you happen to have a myofascial release ball like these, have kind of a squishy texture and a little bit of a grip, you'll need one of those as well. What we're going to do first is we're going to start seated. So we're going to start with a blanket. Seat yourself up. Take your left leg out in front. Cross your right ankle over. And you're just going to take your hand and you're going to rotate the ankle. We want to mobilize this area before we go any further. Circle the opposite direction. So you're not using your ankle to do this, you're using your hand to move it. This is a little bit of a different way of doing things. And then you're going to take your right hand and you're going to pull those toes back as far as you can to stretch this whole arch and ligament lift area on the bottom of your foot. And then taking that same hand, you're going to wend your fingers in between each one of your toes. So don't worry if your fingers don't go in there the way mine look like they do. It's taken a while to get here. You're going to wiggle your toes back and forth a little bit, making some space in between your toes. So shoes are really constrictive. A lot of shoes make a pointy toe or a rounded toe and box your toes in, squish them in different ways. And it's nice to have some space in between your toes. Take those fingers out. You're going to take your left hand and you're going to pull that foot as far as you can, nice and flat. So you're going to stretch the top of the foot, the top of the ankle, and get a really deep stretch all the way up into the front of the knee. Use a little muscle power here. Okay, release that foot, switch sides. So once again, take your hand, rotate that ankle round and round a few times. Go one way, and then we'll go the other way. Take your left fingers, pull those toes, and pull as far back as you can, and try to make sure that your foot is lined up so you're not pulling off to left or right. You want to feel that stretch, and you can almost see the ligaments in the bottom of your arch just pulling out and stretching out. If you're someone who has a lot of arch problems, this would be a great practice to come back to time and again. Same hand, wend those fingers in between the toes as best you can. Wiggle your toes a little bit with those fingers in there to make space. Go ahead, take your right hand, pull those toes in the top of that foot. So you get a nice big stretch all the way across the top of the foot, all the way up to the front of the knee. Big stretch. Very, very pointy toes. And then go ahead and release. Take both feet out in front of you. So we're going to do something called seaweed toes. What you're going to do is you're going to take your toes and bring them as close to you as possible. Straighten out your legs. Open the toes as much as you can. And then as you start to push those toes away from you, you're going to curl them over and then start to swish them back. And once you get back to the other side, you're going to spread them out. Don't worry if they don't spread to start with. And we're going to do 10 of these. So curl the toes over, grab on as if you're grabbing onto a carpet or a towel. Bring those toes back, spread them super wide, come back out. So I hear from a lot of people that oftentimes they'll see toes that do not respond at all while they're doing this. That's completely normal. Our shoes have pretty much made sure some of the toes don't do what they're supposed to do. But over time, your toes will awaken if you come back to this practice again and again, a couple times a month. Just making sure that your toes are awake and alive. Once again, remembering that the feet could be, and probably are, the beginning of problems that are further up, like lower back pain, tension, headaches, neck pain. It comes from down below. So last one here, curl those toes and pull them back over, and then wiggle your toes, wiggle your ankles just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and come down onto our backs. So you can take your blanket off to the side, have your strap at the ready. Go ahead and bring that right knee into the chest, left leg out straight, circle the ankle again, both directions, point and flex the toes. And then wave like the queen, so side to side. So your foot actually makes a lot of different motions. This is one most people forget, is the side to side wag. Take your strap. You're gonna wrap it around the ball of the foot right below the toes. Take your foot up, hands on either end of either strap. Straighten out your foot. And that means having your second toe straight down the middle of your knee all the way into your hip. So here we're gonna kind of play with this a little bit. You're gonna pull a little bit with your biceps and triceps to bring that foot closer. You're gonna pressure the heel. So it's more important to have your legs straight and your heel lifting toward the ceiling than it is to have your toes closer to your nose. So if you have to let go of the strap to get that big, deep stretch in the back of the calf muscle, we're not as concerned about the hamstring. Today we're focusing on the calf, the front of the calf, side body of it, the ankle, and the toes. From the knee down. 2 more deep breaths. Go ahead and bend your knee into your chest. Take that strap off to the side. Once again, circle the ankle, point and flex the toes. Wave like the queen. Switch sides. Oops, I forgot. So circle the ankle, point and flex the toes, wave side to side. Now I know what it feels like to be a student in a class where I'm ready to move on to the next thing and no one else is. Take that strap, wrap it around the ball of the foot. We're ready now. Take it straight up, press through the heel. Remember, engage your biceps, triceps. Pull that leg a little bit closer, but keep the leg straight and press through the heel. You're gonna feel this down the back side of the calf, maybe into the hamstring, but more on the calf. Nice deep breaths. Stretch a little bit deeper and then release that foot. Hug it in. Circle left and right. Point and flex. Wave like the queen. Go ahead and make your way all the way back up. And this time you're going to take the bottoms of your feet together. Press them close side by side. Take your thumbs inside. You're going to rub from the very base of the big toe. So what we call the big toe mound. And you're just gonna start kind of pressing top and bottom all along that inner arch. So your foot actually has more than one arch. It has 3, inside, outside, and center. And we're just activating that inner arch. So reach in a little bit deeper, come into your center arch. Press down, give a little massage. Okay, your tennis ball is where we're gonna go next. So you can take your right leg out first. Take the outside edge of your foot onto the tennis ball or tune-up ball, myofascia ball, and you're gonna rub it back and forth. So you wanna take your right hand and kind of press that foot into the ball and use your left hand to sort of stabilize the ankle. That's my knee popping. When you're done, you're going to switch sides. This just gets that outside edge a little bit differently because it's kind of hard to reach it. So some people find this is really uncomfortable. Some people find it to feel nothing at all. Every day it's going to be different. So don't just skip this when you're doing your feet. Just because you don't feel it today doesn't mean you won't feel it tomorrow. One more time back and forth. And then take that ball off to the side. And we're going to come on to knees here. So I like to rock forward first, get my toes flipped. Here's our yin posture, right? Flip them as much as you can. And then depending on where you are at in your toes and your knees, you can either sit up or you can keep your fingertips down. So sometimes some people's pinkies don't come all the way down to the floor. That's okay. You just want to get those toes folded over as much as possible. You're going to take 3 more deep breaths here. Really stretching the bottom side of the feet. You're going to be ready for this to end. 1 more deep inhale and exhale. Rock forward, flip those toes over. Hands and knees, just tap your feet against the floor to wake them up a little bit. And then our next pose, you're going to sit back, feet flat. Okay. So if this doesn't feel good, you can always take the blanket, roll it up the end a little bit and tuck it between the ankle, right under the ankle. And it's going to give you a little bit more rounding in case your feet don't go flat into a point. Sit here for just a couple of breaths. You can stay right here. Or if you're feeling like your feet can go a little bit further, take your hands to your heart and start to lean back. Now if this feels really unstable, you can take your hands to either side and lift those knees off. You're just stretching a little bit more of the top of the foot, giving it a deep stretch. Don't forget to breathe. And then slowly come all the way down. Once again, hands and knees. Tap those feet, wiggle them out a little bit. Here's where we're going to use that blanket again. So you're going to take your blanket to what we call Tadasana, which is this shape. You're going to roll it up. Now I'm going to suggest that you start with a smaller roll, about half of the blanket. You're going to sweep that around behind you. Lean over and tuck it in between the kneecap space and the back side of your legs. Go ahead and sit back. Now you may have your fingertips on the floor. This may not be your friend. I have been told that this is a very shocking position for a lot of people, but this really massages your calves out. So if you are like a nurse or someone who does a job where you're standing all day, this is a great pose to go to. Sit back as far as you can and drop your weight as much as you can into it. Take 2 more deep breaths. Now we usually call this calf smashing or calf mashing, so you might have heard that term before. Rock forward a little bit, slide it back just a tiny bit, like a 1/2 inch. Sit back again. Let your weight get really heavy. Once again, lean forward. Start to move that back again, about a 1/2 inch. Sit back. We're going to move it all the way down toward the ankles till we get to the Achilles tendon. Go ahead and move it back again. You might be right at that point. Sit back. Take 5 breaths. So the smaller the roll, the more intense the feeling until you get to a certain point. So you should sort of play with the different sizes of rolls. I think a 1/2 roll is a great place to start, and then kind of move yourself down If this gets to the point where this no longer works a whole lot or you don't feel much of it, go ahead and lean forward, take that out. You can use a wooden dowel rod, which is what I often use, wrapped in a blanket. So we're gonna go ahead and take our blanket off to the side, kind of rolled off. Go ahead and come on to hands and knees. Take your fingers wide, shift your hips back, flip your toes, and just walk your dog out. Making sure to spread your toes. Shift your weight back. So take that left foot down, right toes around the back of that heel and press down. And then switch sides. Drop it down, come all the way down on hands and knees. Tap those feet against the floor again. And just relax in child's pose. Take 5 deep breaths here. Go ahead and walk your hands back up. Take your blanket, unroll it just a little bit, like back to our half, and come all the way up to standing. So you're going to take the front of your feet and place them on the front of the blanket. Spread your toes out. Take a nice deep breath. This is going to be a lot for a lot of people, so you can always just stay here, or you can go ahead and start to bend your knees a little bit and fold forward. Keep a little bit of bend in the knees. Remember, you're not trying to push this, you're just trying to straighten the legs out. Get a big stretch down the back side of the calves. You're also getting the sides of the leg, inside and out, so make sure that each one of your toes is pressed down equally. And very slowly start to walk your hands back up, move yourself all the way up. And you're gonna switch directions. You're gonna take your heel on there, but your toes or the front of your foot is gonna remain off. You're gonna be on high heels. Go ahead and bend your knees a little bit. Start to fold forward and then start to straighten those legs out as much as you can. Spread your toes out. Make sure each toe is pressed in the way it should be and spread out, and you can move them around so that they're spread out more. And this time, instead of coming up, we're going to go ahead and bend our knees, take our feet a little wider on the front, walk our feet wider, and come down into a squat. So this is a great pose to stretch a little bit of everything down the backside that we just looked at. We're going to take 10 deep breaths here. Try to sit back a little bit more, press into the toes and heels more equally. Last deep inhale and exhale. Most people are really ready to get out of this pose. Go ahead and take your fingertips down, come up, and come all the way up very carefully. Take yourself off of that blanket. Take your blanket off to the side. And back to our little acupressure ball. So the thing I like about these is that you can basically acupressure or myofascial release every single part of your body. So we're going to start with the foot on the heel on it. So if this feels unstable, you can always take your hand to a wall or to a chair. But you're going to put as much weight as you can on that heel And you're just going to start to scrub side to side, so left to right instead of front to back. Go ahead and move it a little bit further forward till it's right at the cusp where it's about to enter into the arch. Once again, scrub back and forth. This either may feel really good or not so good, depending on how your feet are doing today. I promise they will feel way better when we're done. Once again, slide it in a little bit. You're still going to keep those toes on the floor. Now you're about mid-arch, back and forth, scrubbing inside and outside, left to right. Keeping your toes really spread wide. Slide a little further forward, and now you're probably going to have to shift your weight so that your heel comes down and your toes are up. So here, once again, scrub side to side. This is the very top of your arch toward the front end of your foot. This always feels really good. Releases a lot of that tension. A little bit further forward till it's right at the base of the toes. Back and forth again. This is where you can really spread your toes out. And then you're going to roll it to the toes, and you're going to grab onto it with your toes and release 5 times. Grab, release, grab, release. Last 2. Grab and release, grab and release. So then we're going to start taking it front to back. So remember those 3 little arch points. You're going to want to run to the inside edge, the middle, and the outside. Running the full length of your foot, giving it a little massage. One more time all the way across. I like to start with the inside edge and then move my way across because usually that's where mine hurts. And then you're done with that foot. We're going to change feet. Once again, heel on the ball. Grab for a wall or a surface if you're unstable here. You're going to start to kind of scrub that foot back side to side. So right across the heel point. This sometimes brings the heel awake. I find that heels, because they take such pressure and they build up such a callus thickness, that they don't feel very much. And when you rub this side to side, you tend to find a little bit of that feeling back. Move it right toward the edge again, right before we enter the arch itself. Back and forth. And then to the arch, we have to lift up, put our heel on the floor, toes down, back and forth. So some interesting things about your feet. Pinky toe and his 2 friends next to him are actually what gives you your stability. You would think Pinky would not do that, but apparently he does. He and his 2 little friends, all 3 of those toes at the end, are attached to, go ahead and move that ball up a little bit further to right below the toes, back and forth rub. Those are actually attached to the bone on the bottom that gives you that nice stable surface. Your big toe and the toe right next to it, second toe, are actually used for flexibility because they slide on top of the other bone that the 3 other toes are attached to. Right to the toes, grab onto that ball, release, grab, release, grab, release. 2 more. Curl those toes around it, release. And last time, curl the toes around it, release. And then here again, we're going to go back and forth from end to end. Tip to toe, right? Run to the inside, then the center, and the outside edge. So keeping all these toes in good shape has a profound effect on not only your flexibility, but also on, ultimately, your stability. One more time all the way across from the inside to the out. And you're done. You can do a little circle maybe if you wanted to. You can do all sorts of stuff with this little ball. And then a little ball goes off to the side. So standing up nice and tall, spread your toes super wide. Okay. Take your heels about hip distance apart, or you can stay side by side. You're going to go ahead and bend your knees, come into your chair pose, and you're going to rock forward. Up on the toes, down to the heels, rock back, toes up. Rock forward, up on the toes, back down to the heels, lift the toes up. 3 more. Rocking forward. Everything's in 5s today. And back. Up as high as you can go, down, heels, and last one. Come up, you're gonna hold and start to lower yourself down with your toes. And come all the way down onto your seat. So now we are ready for the great part of it, which is Shavasana. So go ahead, bring both knees into your chest. Wave those feet around a little bit. We'll take one last pose right before Shavasana. Take the knees wide, go ahead and grab the outside or inside of those feet and pull them up into Happy Baby. So I like to sometimes take my hands over my toes, pull those toes toward me and bring the heels up toward the ceiling. Another great stretch for the feet. Release your feet. Take those feet down and stretch them out. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath. Take your heels out, press through the heel. One by one, relax and release. Close your eyes and settle your breath and bring your attention to your feet. The lower part of your legs from your knees down, and feel all the energy and openness, mobility and freedom. Maybe wiggle your toes. Maybe wave your ankles side to side. And then relax. Just 5 more deep breaths. Make them count. Slowly begin to bring your feet flat to the floor. Go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. Give them a little squeeze, point and flex your toes. Circle the ankles. Gently roll over to your right side. And slowly press yourself all the way up to a seat, whatever that may be, using whatever props you want around you. Taking a few deep breaths to appreciate what all your feet do for you every single day. Bring your hands to your heart, peace and namaste. I hope you enjoyed this class, and I hope it helps your feet feel a lot better and brings you into a little bit deeper touch with your feet and all that they can do, should do, and how they should feel a little bit better and more open. If you liked this, please make sure you like and comment below. If you have any questions about any practices you see, please feel free to either comment or you can email me. There's a link above that shows you how to email me and contact me directly. And also, please don't forget to subscribe. I have lots of videos that will be dropped every single week on a Friday. They will vary, ones like this, yin, restorative, vinyasa flow, meditation, breathing techniques, to make you a more holistic yoga approach and provide you with a more holistic yoga experience. Thank you so much. Have a great day.